Our dear audience, please take your seats. And we are really excited to present a Samadhi House Masterclass now from our matchless teachers, Jonh, Brady, and Alix, Rowland. Thank you very much.
Hello. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. We're going to start with a very short motivation setting meditation because we're Samadhi House. So please take a moment to close your eyes. Yeah!
No, it's not.
And welcome to online audience, if there is one. I believe there might be. So at home, you can also close your eyes. Just connect with your breath for a moment. Take this opportunity to think about why you're here at this event. What would be the ideal outcome of you? Sorry. What would be the, we have an ideal income as well, but that's not the subject. What would be the ideal outcome of these 4 days together for you leaving here? Make a determination that from what you learn here, you can make a difference in the world. You can change the world. Thank you for taking that moment. And now we want to get to know everyone a little bit better. So open your eyes. And we're all going to stand up, including us. Anjali's thinking, we'll dance? That could be. We could do that. Could stretch. I know for many of you, you're in a time zone that's unfamiliar, maybe uncomfortable if you are normally supposed to be asleep right now, or if you just stayed awake through the night to try to make it to this evening. So stretching would be fine. Wake yourself up. What we're going to do is take a poll. And so okay, a little disclaimer, it doesn't matter how well you've been meditating, okay? It doesn't even matter how regularly you've been meditating. But if you've been meditating for less than a year, please sit down. I didn't specify. Okay, all right. It looks like we have quite a few seasoned meditators. If you've been meditating for less than 5 years, please sit down. Okay, it doesn't have to be every day.
4 days a week.
And it doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be good meditation. Or anytime we sit on the cushion is a good meditation. Okay, how about between 5 and 10 years? If you've been meditating between 5 and 10 years, please sit down. Wow, okay. How about 10 to 15 years? We're starting to lose a few people. Okay, how about 15 to 20 years? No. Wait, okay. Too much math involved. Okay, how about 20 to 25? Oh my gosh, okay. We only have a few men and women standing, or maybe all men, but congratulations.
That doesn't necessarily mean that the long-timers have shamatha.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, we can.
So my name is Alix Rowland. I live in Colorado, in the United States. And one of my favorite things to do right now is I'm a grandma, and I get to take care of my grandchild 2 days a week. And I've got a lot of projects involved in different things. Recently wrote a book. But I'd really like to introduce Mr. Jonh Brady, who I think many of you know. And one of my very special teachers. I'm really honored to be up here with you. Jonh has been, for 29 years, serving Asian Legacy Library in the way saving books around the world, right? And just like Indiana Jones is always how I picture it. And I really want to go with you on a trip. I'm hoping to.
Mongolia, June 2026.
Okay, there's opportunities for us to all go and be a part of that. And he's the president of ALL. He lives in Sedona, Arizona with his beautiful wife and our precious teacher, Connie. So thank you so much.
Can I say something about you?
Yes, if you like.
Thank you. Alix and I are SCIM alumni, Sedona College of International Management, and we went through hell and back together. I was a professor, she was a TT, you know, now it's reverse. I'm a TT and she's the professor. We had an amazing run of learning the DCI systems together, and there's so many incredible memories that I have, you know, just boot camp for 2 weeks and 2 days, and there's a bond, a karmic seed that we have together, and I'm so grateful to be with her on stage as well. Thank you.
Thank you, JB.
She wrote a book, by the way, that's excellent.
Thank you. We have some other SCIM alumni here too, and we've gotten a chance to say hello. So thank you all for being here. We have SCIM people, we have DCI people, we have DSEU people, we have Innovation Retreat people, and you know, we're bringing people together here. People are coming together, and of course the 5 houses. So what we're going to be talking about today is that an authentic and regular meditation practice is crucial to stop downward spirals that you might be seeing in the world around you, especially big, upsetting things that you may be seeing. And by using the world as a mirror, the problems that we see as a mirror of what our collection of seeds are, we can stop those downward spirals and turn them around. We can also learn and choose our core values and use our core values to change the world. The structure is going to be, we're going to give some information, talk casually about the subject, and then we're going to do a short guided meditation that JB is going to lead, and then you're going to get a chance to share with your neighbor before we do some wrap up at the end. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you bring up the first slide, Brian? You are here. Welcome to your home. This is one of the inner circles of the wheel of life. And it's the perpetuation of seeing the world coming at you, essentially, that keeps you in this wheel. And we're going to talk a lot about that today, because this wheel is real in my world of studying our lineage and the teachings. Everyone, and I think I can say for myself, have moments of downsides and upsides constantly in our life, where, you know, we have our seatbelt on, I would say, with the Dharma, with meditation practice, with ACI teachings, with Geshe Michael's remarkable lineage of different ways of teaching karma and emptiness. We have that in our lives, so we have our seatbelt on. But this is what? It's the enemy of enemies. This is where you and I have to work extremely hard to exit out of this cycle. And it's interesting, right? We don't believe that we're in it, but we are. And that's not going to be the class today, but just give it a little bit of breath and say, okay, suppose I'm in this wheel. What am I going to do about it? And we're going to unpack that a little bit more today.
Yeah, and these downward spirals, they're happening around us, and they're happening in big ways around us, it seems, right now. To be able to talk about how to stop a downward spiral that you're seeing in the world around you, we have to understand the basic concepts that everyone in this room, I think, does understand. But we will just touch a little bit on emptiness and dependent arising to make sure that we have the framework of how to see the spirals around us. I wanted to say on just a personal level that 12 years ago, I walked into this room looking for a teacher, teachers, really, right here, right now. My very first time of meeting Geshe Michael and many of you. So, is anyone new here at first event of coming live to a Geshe Michael event? Oh, okay, it's a couple hands, great. So 12 years ago, that was me. I had been studying meditation and yoga for many years, but I didn't understand how things worked. And my life is totally different. My mind is different. My friend Janice brought me here. Thank you, Jay.
Jay.
And we came again together this time. So everything in my life has changed since I learned these deep concepts about emptiness and mental seeds. My finances are improved. My relationships are improved. So I know these things work. But when we see the big problems outside of ourselves, or for me anyway, it's hard for me to keep correct view. I sometimes blame others and political figures. So let's just review emptiness. I know you've already been to a day or two of speaking, different speakers, so you probably have the basics totally down. But just to be clear, the emptiness of me is what the example I'd like to use. Each of you looking at me, I have dear friends, I have colleagues, coworkers, teachers, and some people who've never met me here in this room. So each of you looking at me, 100 people, are seeing something different. You have your own view of who I am, and I have a view of who I am. And who's right? This is the classic pen story. Is the dog right or is the human right? So all of us are right. And there is no specific way to see me that we could say is going to be the same from everyone's viewpoint. So that is the emptiness side of things. And then where do these mental impressions come from that we are putting out into the world? When we look out and we see a country divided, political problems, wars, famine, things that just break our heart that we see in the world around us, these are coming from our mind, which our mind recorded how we treated others in the past. Just like a video camera records what we did in the past, and then it projects it back out. So that's the very basics. Thank you. Thank you, Francisco. So to apply that to the problems we see in the world, we're going to be picking a problem that bothers us, something that's painful for us, and we're going to be looking at that as a mirror of what our core values are. How did we create this problem in the past? What do we see that's painful to us? And what does that tell us about our core values? What do we want to see in the world? That is how we're going to be proceeding
I like to use the idea of the absence of anything which didn't come from you or I, our seeds, as just a reminder every day to give me the wake-up call when things do go south, right? When something appears and you don't know really how to handle it. But it always reminds me, it's the absence of anything that didn't come from my seeds is what the problem is. And that's a very, how do we do that on a regular daily basis where you sit on your meditation cushion for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, you get up off the cushion, you drive your car to work and somebody cuts you off and you lose it. Within 2.6 seconds, you're gone. I see that a lot in my town, where you're having a nice drive looking at the red canyons and then somebody passes you at 70 miles an hour and I lose it. And it's like, okay, the absence of anything which didn't come from my own seeds. The absence of anything which didn't come from my own seeds. And it pulls me back in and realizes my reckless driving when I was a New Yorker, driving like bumper cars to get the edge to turn left or right on a street. So I just want to kind of add that to the story, because it has to be reminded constantly that we're projecting everything, and it's hard.
Yeah, thank you. The example that I'm thinking of for myself when I think of what's bothering me in the world, it's, because it's closer to home, we see a lot of division in our country with politics, and half the country thinks one way and half the country thinks a different way. And it seems like the side you're not on is crazy and wrong, and it's upsetting. And so that's the mirror that I want to look at. And as I was thinking about and preparing for this class, I had something happen yesterday where a very personal thing happened where I was divided away from somebody in my life who's very important to me. And so God really brought it home that these are my seeds of dividing people. So in the meditation, when you have the chance to do it, you're going to be picking something that's bothering you like that and think about, where have I done something similar in the past? In my case, where have I divided people away from each other in the past? And what's the opposite of that? My core value is that I want people to come together, to work together, to solve problems together. And what seeds can I plant that would create that in my world? So that's my example of what, how to work through this exercise. And JB is going to pick up and talk about, who are we, JB? And how do we relate to our world? In what way do we affect our world?
I take all these plane rides a lot these days, and I finally opened up Emptiness Meditation by Venerable Utpala with Geshe Michael. And it's like my companion now on the long plane rides. Like, I don't get online. It's tempting, but I'll just sit there for an hour and a half and take that book and just fall into it. And number one, I recommend it because you can spend 10 years in that book. And everything we're saying here is just scratching the surface. So, that's a pitch for the book, and I'll show you the image of the book later. I take a certain stance on, okay, why am I perceiving, as Alix said, the country being divided? And there are many types of karma, but there is a karma that is collective. So we're all seriously in this country seeing this separation, divisiveness on all levels. And I thought about it, like, what's my seed? What's the causality of me experiencing that? And how do I react to it? And I looked back, and I felt in my early days of life in the 40s, that was early for me, right? 40s and 50s, I had a cynical sense of this country. I was cynical. I was not, I just was so cynical about what was going on. And I think our culture became highly cynical over the last 35, 40 years. And I do believe we contributed to that cynicism to create this divisiveness from a standpoint of seriously endangering our culture as a democracy. And so that, to me, brings a bigger subject about, okay, if that's how I created my collective, country right now, how can I begin the practice of turning it and reversing it? What's the downside is we're in the downside. And people come to me and say, what am I going to do? Should I move? And I said, no, don't move. Forget it. Don't move. You have to look at it. Get on the cushion. Go to Diamond Mountain. Do Venerable Gyaltse's retreat. Cook it. So we can use things that are what we consider downsides. And that's a very Diamond Way approach. When you are in what we label as a downward spiral, and it can happen, as Alix said, in a moment, a New York minute, something collapses. Use it. How do we use it? Well, the cushion, of course, is the best laboratory in on the planet to unpack it, to look at it. Watching the mind, look at it. What's the emotion attached to it? How do you deconstruct a downward spiral? And you do it on the cushion. I like to do it on the cushion. It's always a visceral sense of what's connected to the thought process that's going through your mind stream. What emotion is being charged, and what are those thoughts that are catching the emotion and distorting the way you're perceiving it. And so I always say this when I teach a lot. When you do a 50-minute meditation, and sometimes it's a struggle to get on the cushion, right? You are not the same human being when you jumped off the cushion and went into the world again. And anyone want to debate me on that right now? Raise your hand. Because that's our world. There's no self-existing me or mine in this room. There's no sense of a self-standing George or, any of us. Impossible. But the self-standing you and I are like Velcro attached to this mind of ours that we have to pull away. And that's a bigger story, but, this is where we have to go to eliminate that circle behind us. That's our enemy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the big problems, especially that we get most upset about. They seem so self-existent. And as JB was saying with the finger snaps and Geshe Michael was teaching, we don't have the ability to see those individual seeds ripening. I don't have that ability yet. So everything seems so solid out there, even though intellectually I have proven it to myself that the big problem out there is as empty as the pen or as empty as everyone's opinion of me right now. War is the same. And as Geshe Michael has been saying, people are fighting over something that's not even there.
We are the pen. You're the pen. We have to think that way. You're the pen. We are the pen. We are constantly in a process of deconstruction of the levels of misperceptions that we've been brought into this place. And it's fun when you get into it. It's not like, oh my God, I got to get on the cushion and deal with my deconstructive mind. It's not like that. It's a very, I think it's like the archaeological dig of all time. It's the archaeological dig of getting into the layers that we either have the courage to look at, or we really make it like climbing Mount Everest this way, going inward. And downward spirals are opportunities. Don't miss them. Can we get past that power of emotion that produces a bigger, magnified, self-existent me projecting onto somebody else's, they did that to me. How do we tackle that? And that's a big story, and we should talk about it more.
Yeah, part of our job is to inspire everyone here to improve their meditation practice. So we're doing a little bit of a sales job. One of my takes on that is that by sitting down and analyzing a downward spiral that you're seeing, by getting on the cushion and analyzing it, you can intellectually recall the pen and go through the exercise that it's impossible for that to exist, that problem to exist from its own side. We have to prove it to ourselves with our clear thinking, right? And on the cushion is a great place for that. We could also slow down the mind so it's not jumping around. That will help with the clear thinking. And it's possible to slow the mind down enough to see a seed ripening, right?
It's possible. I believe it. So in the process of sitting down and starting to practice, one thing that I don't know, I think most of the teachers here know this. We judge our practice of meditation, and we're our worst. We're really hardcore, hurting ourselves if we start to judge the quality or the non-quality that we just came off the cushion with. And that's a subject that we see in Asia a lot. People are, no, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even do the breath 1 to 10. And they're feeling bad about it. And I think Geshe Michael touched upon this yesterday a little bit, like, you cannot do that. And when you sit on the cushion, or you decide to sit on the cushion, you're reverse engineering the misperception of me and mine. If you just sit there and breathe for 20 minutes without even counting, it's okay. Your courage to do the archaeological dig, to unveil this idea of me and mine, and the absence of a self-standing you, which makes this thing happen over and over, is the courage it takes to look at your mind. And it's extraordinary if we can continue to try. I used to go to work, and I would be in a suit and tie, and I'd be just about ready to leave my room, and something would grab me by the tie and pull me, literally, I would say, get on the cushion, and just stop it. Like, they can wait for you. And I would, and that was just so hard, because it was 1,000,000 miles away. You'd look at it, and you're just like, I'm not getting on that thing. And part of it was fear, to see what was in there, I think. But again, downward spirals have taught me many things. I had one yesterday. actually, a downward spiral. Should I share with it? Yeah. So I went to dinner with Geshe Michael last night, and I, GPS the restaurant. And he said, it's near the Fashion Square Mall. And so okay, here's the restaurant. And I pulled into the parking lot of this massive mall. It's probably one of the biggest in America. And it says, you are here, you have arrived. And it's just parking lots. And I was like, okay, I'll park. And I said, I'll walk to the restaurant, and I pushed walk, and it showed me this dotted line. It wasn't even usually it's like a blue line that takes you to the streets. And I was, for 25 minutes, I was walking around the mall. It was just a maze, and I totally lost it. And it was like, we're sort of like this. I can't find this place. And I'm running around looking at, take a left here, and then you cross the street, and I waited for the light to change, and then it reversed the way I was supposed to go. And it was just mind-boggling. It was like, that's my mind right now. I am completely lost in a mall.
It's the blind man. Yeah, the blind man. I thought you were telling the
There
blind
I
man
am,
story.
yeah. And Tim was saying, JB, are you okay? Where are you? And I was like embarrassed. Like, well, I parked the car and I'm walking. I should be there in 9 minutes. And then it was 18 minutes. And then it was 22 minutes. And then I went back to the car and I got in the car. And I drove there in 4 minutes. So it was a wake-up call from the standpoint like, okay, I totally did not think about my self-existent attitude toward the situation. I was really in an emotional state because I wanted to be with Geshe Michael and hang out a little bit, and I hadn't seen him in 3 months. But that's losing it, and I totally lost it.
Yeah, so who we are, one of the questions we wanted to talk about is, who are we? And when JB and I were talking about this before class, he said, we're this blind man, which is the first link in the wheel. We just don't know what's going on, and we're groping around making bad choices. When I listen to the news, it's, the automatic response that I have is I'm blaming somebody else for the things that I'm hearing on the radio.
Blaming the GPS.
So this habit of blaming and being angry at others is an emotion we can use, to get us out of this blind man problem.
Yeah, and he's also on a cliff, and we're kind of in that vulnerability as well. Very much so. But every time you fall off the cliff, and we do fall off the cliff, you're closer to the goal. There's a very famous Zen Buddhist drawing, and it's a yogi, Zen yogi. He's falling off the cliff, and there's a cherry tree off the side of the cliff, and he's trying to get a cherry before he hits the ground, which I thought was extraordinarily important in my time. He was still in the moment, even though he was going to crash and break every bone in his body, but he was like, and, sometimes we do that, and we succeed, and we understand another part of our own heart and mind, and what to do about it. At least that's my pattern over the last 35, 40 years. Falling off the cliff is okay. You get back on the cushion a week later. You take a leave of absence, and then you go back, and then you realign. The thing that we're really wanting to say about this is that We have to gain shamatha. The point of meditation, the point of all of this is to get single-pointed and focused intensely in a calm mind and a calm body, but you're focusing on the object of your meditation to the point where you're driving with one hand, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can go on to the meditation. Before we do that, though, after the meditation, one of the things we're going to ask everyone to think about is how can they improve their meditation? How can you improve your meditation practice from where you are now? And JBR already mentioned some obstacles that we might have to getting on the cushion. One of them is judging our meditation, that we thought we're afraid it's not going to be good enough, we're not making progress. So let's talk a little bit about other obstacles, because our stance here today is that if you have an authentic, regular meditation, you can stop downward spirals in the world by analyzing where they're coming from, changing our behavior. But if we don't meditate, or if we don't meditate regularly, that's not going to happen. So I think while we have a master meditator here, we should find out what's the secret to getting on that cushion regularly.
It's the most important thing from the standpoint of starting a day and finishing a day, if you can really handle that. Because your day is different. In my world, my day goes differently, I think, when I don't meditate. And, you know, there's 3-year retreatants in the audience, and I feel the pattern of us getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning for 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days has stuck with me. I can go to bed at 12 o'clock and wake up at 3. I can go to bed at 9 o'clock and wake up at 2. And it's just like, this is it. Get on the cushion, you know. Everybody's asleep. All these consciousnesses just went unconscious. And there's something magical about that for me. That time of day is so beautiful. And so usually Connie and I wake up at the same time, like at 3, and she's thinking about things, and I wake up and, you know, she said, "You're going to get on the cushion?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I'm just working something out in my mind, so I'm going to stay in bed." And it matters from the standpoint of patterns and habit. So that's my habit. I've got my practice done. By 4:30, I got my practice done. 5 o'clock, I've got my practice done. And then it's good. Then I'm ready to go. Probably the hardest thing is to bring the mind to a place where it doesn't deceive you that there's anything else more important than the cushion, because our minds are incredible traps. They will figure out logically to the detail of why you shouldn't sit for at least 20 minutes on the cushion. There's 7 Zoom calls, they're waiting for me. It will tell you everything. It's the devil, you know, because you're reverse engineering the way you perceive your reality when you sit on the cushion. And wow, when you succeed, something shifts when you least expect it in your mind. And so that, to me, is the pattern that you have to break down. There's nothing as important. And you may be a night meditator like a 7 p.m. or all of us have different times that function for you and I. Mine is at night, early hours of the morning.
Yeah. I was thinking also about the downward spiral that we want to change. And hearing about ideas isn't enough. We know we have to apply them in our lives off the cushion, but we can't understand them the same way that we can in meditation by just thinking about them in our daily life. Also, if we want to stop the downward spiral permanently, we know that we have to see emptiness directly. And in our Samadhi House meeting today, that was a goal of a lot of people who have joined Samadhi House in this room. And if we don't have a regular meditation practice, we won't be able to do that. And as JB said, it's deciding that how important that is. How important is that to you to make that kind of change in your life so that the downward spiral can be permanently stopped. But in the meantime, we'll damage it.
It's good to have a partner, like a karmic meditation partner, your partner, or somebody that basically keeps you on the line, you know, and we do that with DCI a lot. We say, okay, who in the room wants to have a better meditation practice, and they come together, and it functions, it gives you support. We call it Ne Lama as well in the Dharma community. Have somebody to actually reflect back to how your practice is going. Teachers are supposed to be also available to guide you a little bit about what to do next in your practice. We need a teacher. I know that's kind of, we need a teacher. We can take it so far. And Tim talked about it, and Geshe, and you know, without a teacher, you know, good luck next life. Honestly, that's my feeling. And you stick to that teacher, you know. People go shopping, and we got to stop shopping. Just like, okay, I'm going to stick with this teacher, and they'll take me all the way. And but how many of you, I think, want to change your downward spirals? You want to eliminate them? Because we haven't talked about dependent arising, the causality of what past seed you planted when suddenly things go south. We haven't talked about that.
Yeah, we have a picture of some animals. So those guys are turning the wheel.
Yeah. That's the nuclear energy of your ignorance feeding itself round and round and round. And they represent pure ignorance, anger, and deep desires that habituate in certain patterns of behavior. And that's feeding each other. That's the innermost part of the circle that actually produces your life on a consistent basis. So we go right to the core here. And those are the karmic correlations to get out of that inner circle is crucial to understand. So part of the equation for a downward cycle, you know, first of all, downward cycle is like own it. We gotta own it. We cannot blame, you know, we're a country of victims. You know, there's billions of dollars worth of lawsuits every year because I was victimized. You are not victimized. You own it. You take it. And that's something that's hard to understand and very difficult and challenging on a regular basis in the life of a day of all of us. So we have to own it. But the correlations for downward spiral is really cool to try to just go back theoretically, if not emotionally, how that pattern created the result that is suffering. When we're using a nice, sweet name, you know, downward cycle. We're talking about suffering, like you hit the ground, you know, and you don't know where it came from. And as students of Dharma, we must put the correlation together of how we planted that. And make it fun, you know. Be admitting that you know, you mentally got angry at somebody. It's not speech. Your mind, your thought process is the worst part of our karmic production. And that cycle of patterns of thinking will keep you into this ignorant cycle here.
Which is why we need to meditate, right? And now it's time.
It's time to meditate. How about that? Let's go for it. For 5 minutes, we want to take a moment to say, when was the last downward spiral? Was it 11:45, or was it 2 weeks ago? Let's get settled in and just take a minute with our breathing. And in a Mahamudra way, I call it watching the mind, watching the mind. You're bringing one downward spiral that has happened in the last 3 to 5 days in your life. It could be a minor irritation that started a process of thinking about somebody, or it could be something bigger than that. What is it that brought you to a place? And just bring it back into your conscious mind. Look at it. Don't grasp onto it. Just look at it. The circumstances, the moment it happened. Who was it? What triggered it? What were the seeds that projected out that it was their fault? The circumstances were random that made me lose it. Seeds are planted in the past and ripen very spontaneously in the present moment. Can we go back to potentially where that seed was planted, or how something contributed to planting this result that you're getting an unpleasant sense of emotion? The process of negative thoughts. And maybe even project a potential future moment where can I stop gap that place if it happens to me again? How do I pause before I jump into another aspect of a self-existent moment and lose it again? Take some breath. And open your eyes. Was the actual experience unpleasant? To bring something up unpleasant? I mean, that can happen too, right? Just thinking about it brings up an unpleasant sense in your heart, maybe even, right?
Thank you. We're now going to give you the opportunity to talk with your neighbor about what happened. We have 3 questions that we'd like you to consider, and you'll only have about 2 minutes to tell your neighbor about your experience, and then they can tell you about theirs. If you're not sitting with someone who speaks your language, you could always take notes in a notebook or on your phone if it doesn't work for you to pair up with somebody. So if Brian could put the 3 questions up there. We're going to ask you to look at and to share with your neighbor, what problem did you choose? So you saw a problem, and what does it reveal about your core values? If you saw people hurting each other, then you have a core value of protecting life, or people, helping to keep people safe. That would be an example. And what action can you take based on the core value you identified to plant different seeds and new seeds? And then finally, and maybe most importantly, can you make a small commitment to improve your meditation practice wherever you are in your meditation practice now, whether you're a 3-year retreatant or you're someone who's been meditating for less than a year? Maybe there's a way we could become more regular. JB suggested that you commit to at least 3 days a week. Or
3
was
days
it 4?
a week. 3.
3. Okay.
3 days a week.
Okay, so we'll start timing, and we'll tell you when to switch partners. If you need to do 3 people, that's okay. You can shorten your sharing time. And go.
You notice that the energy is a little bit in the audience.
Yeah, I actually changed at the end so that you're at the end now.
Oh, I
so
am?
you can give us, with a call, some kind of
Call to action.
So you can give us some kind of lifting right then. Okay. So some time.
The other thing that's kind of interesting for us in our time is how do we adapt to different conditions for our practice, like our meditation practice, like being on the road in hotel rooms, and like we seem to make logical deductions that are so false, like, well, it's too noisy in the street, I can't hear it. There's no cushion, I didn't bring my cushion. I watch my mind constantly in hotel rooms. And I just sit in the chair.
Do you feel very attached to your meditation spot? Are you able to take it on the road?
I do feel I love our space. But I don't need to bring cushions and things. I can bring a cushion and anything. Just sit on it. It's fun.
I think we get attached to having certain text around or images, and I'm not so much like that. I can kind of meditate anywhere. I feel like having Geshe Michael has given us so much.
That's exactly
It's
it.
all in there.
That's totally
I've got
there.
so
It doesn't
much.
matter the circumstances. You could be sitting anywhere. I love that, Alex. You should say that. Because,
I'm saying you should say it.
okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Just giving us a learning of time. Is that what it is?
We have 9 minutes.
I'm going to give them like 30 more seconds and then I'll also switch. How about that? Oh, okay. All right, thanks. Just going to give you time.
We got him talking. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is a good one. Right? Seats together. They're not falling asleep anymore.
They're totally in it. Did you somebody share?
Yeah, we're getting by the time we switch people.
So many minutes.
Yeah. We'll see if it feels right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's think about switching. If you haven't switched who's talking, think about switching people. All right, everybody. Time to wrap up. Please come back.
No.
Was that coincidence? The shh. Perfect.
That was cool.
We have time to invite one person to share some insight about what they discovered. You'll only have a minute or two, but is there someone who'd like to share?
Oh, come on.
We'll need a microphone for you. Anybody?
Come on.
Bueller?
There's one here. Let's see. George? Oh, wait, over here. Yes, Ina. Can you turn the mic on?
Okay. I discovered that it's easier to complain than to take actions, and maybe the action will be not right. You can change it, and it's better than be a victim.
What was the last part you said? It's better to what?
It's better to take an action, to take responsibility on the action you take than to be a victim. Maybe it will not be a correct and ultimately correct action. Then you can correct it again.
Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. So we're almost done. We have a final image, and I wanted to leave you before JB wraps up with a couple of words, just with the importance of having an authentic and regular meditation practice. If you can use the world as a mirror, especially those big problems that bother you, sometimes that's the last thing we want to do is sit down on the cushion when we're upset. But if you can take that time to analyze where things are coming from, prove to yourself that it's from your negative actions in the past, and think about your core values. What do you really care about, and act from there in the world, in your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Then you can stop the downward spiral.
Yeah, so can we commit for 3 days a week? Yay! Can I hear 2, 3, 4, 7, 10, 12, 110? Oh my God, thank you. Yeah. Okay. We're witnessing for each other, and thank you for that. I came to meditation because I was an 18-year-old and I knew I was in suffering. I knew it. And I was alone in many ways, from the standpoint of like, I am alone. I got good parents, they did a good thing, but I'm alone. And, but the suffering really is something that I think we have to accept, where to start, and by admitting that we're all in this together, completely, that wheel is a starting point. Because the meditation is about deconstructing the patterns of thinking, the patterns of behaviors that are erased in a meditation practice. You erase those patterns and you replace them with an upward spiral system of understanding karma and emptiness. And, we're so fortunate to share with this community. All of us are teachers, or in the process of becoming teachers. And this is how it's going to pass on. It's going to pass on with you. And I was in the audience 34 years ago, and I was like, you have to be a teacher. I was like, but begin here. And many of you have the capabilities of starting now. And I want to leave you with that, because this is, we could talk forever about meditation, but let's say end game. Do your practice and keep going. And ask questions. Ask good questions, bad questions, whatever. Any question. Talk to those beings who know how to practice, and don't be shy. Time is short. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alix, Rowland, Silverton, Durango.
Thank you so much, our dear teachers. Thank you for this profound class. And thank you for this short meditation which showed us that even this 5 minutes has this deep, profound effect. Thank you. Please remember that we have a very short time to leave the premise, okay? So take the garbage with you and be in time for tomorrow's classes. See you tomorrow.